What if I told you Elden Ring can be flipped into a stealth horror game by making a single change, making one diabolical and hated enemy as every enemy in the game? Well, I made the entirety of Elden Ring to be only Aging Untouchables, but why is that significant? Well, these walking Sherbiri grapes are more observant than regular enemies, they teleport onto you if you're seen, and if you do manage to escape their grab attack and giddy up on Torrent, you'll be stricken with madness buildup that knocks you off your horse, meaning these freaks will eventually catch up to you, grab you, and try to suck you till there's no soul left. So my objective will be to hone my inner solid snake, go undetected as much as possible, and beat the base game of Elden Ring. There's basically no information on these enemies, so this is your one-stop shop for Aging Untouchables, and you'll want to stay to the end to see what we find. So to start this run, I wanted to have a randomized class. I did this because it's fun, and I've seen the same starting classes for 3 years, okay? I want to mix it up. This is also the only way the game could throw us a bone to help me. Lo and behold though, they didn't. So I practiced parrying for a bit, get my ass beat, and get transported to Limgrave. Oh, and I should mention, I decided at the start to see how hard it would be with enemies and wildlife as Aging Untouchables. Literally everything in the game. And well, not so good. Let me just show you what it's like if I want to just run past these guys. Guess I'll die. Guess I'll die. Guess I'll die. After getting ass blasted for an hour, I saw this to be impossible without having the necessary items already on my person. Re-randomized, snag a new class that didn't help me, and ran it again. Yeah, you can see like all the wildlife. It's like such a different game now, to where it's like, it's still hard. The legacy dungeons are still going to be insanely hard. They just would have been impassable. And just like that, we're at the Stormfront ruins, meaning Torrent is ready to blaze past these disgusting, twisted, madness-loving Yeah. Like I said at the beginning, running with Torrent is not a feasible option. Sometimes I am able to get away, but it becomes a major risk, which means most of our playtime is huffing it on foot. Many times having to crouch around, going bush to bush, never being in front of these giant Sauron eyes. Like I said, a stealth horror game only a masochist could love, because, I'm not gonna lie, these bug-eyed, wand-wielding, piss-colored freaks scare the hell out of me. Making noises at every turn, more abrasive when they notice something, and absolute chaos when you see that black and yellow ring pulsating underneath you. What does that mean? Teleporting time! Yeah, we can't go that way. After being in the thick of it, we eventually death run our way to the grace outside Margit's boss arena, and who do we have to fight? Yes, another Aging Untouchable. Now this is the interesting part of this type of run, because the boss fights are actually the easiest parts. It's a time of respite, while the overworld is what is so punishing and hard to get past, which completely flips the formula of what FromSoft had intended. And as you'll soon see, this death run was one of many that we had to do to even get around, and in some cases, this wasn't even possible. Anyways, we parry and riposte the Aging Imposter, since that's literally the only way that we can actually kill these guys. We sit at the Grace, talk to Gostock, kill Gostock, which is important because having to parry with the medium shield was awful, and for someone as ass as myself at parrying, I already wasn't having a fun time. But killing Gostock means we get his bell bearing and are able to buy the buckler for more frames on parrying. Now there are a few barriers in this run to overcome. Doing 2 of the 3 legacy dungeons for Great Runes needed to pass into Leyndell, and grabbing the 2 Dectus medallions because there's no shot in hell I'm going through the side aqueduct passage to reach Altus. Like, what the f am I looking at? So let's bop around and see where we stand at these locations. Those are not bushes, so I think this is literally impossible to do to go through this way. I guess we go this way. This is probably the only way we can go. And even so, it's not great. I need you to come down so that it doesn't aggro the other guy. Usually if you're far enough away, they won't do that. You're far enough away, they won't teleport. They're all gonna spam. They attack each other. Oh, that's good. Oh, and he got me. They're like attacking each other almost. So they were kind of aggroed already. I think as soon as I stand up, he's gonna see me. Okay, never mind. He immediately saw me regardless. And he spammed. Wow, that killed me really fast. It doesn't even matter. Let's see something here. saw this during a hitless strat. They'll start... Okay. I wanted to see what would happen with these guys. Okay. They all ran out. Wow. The way that they interact is not the way that the normal enemies interact. So when you hit these walls during a hitless run, the enemies inside will go to that wall. They will not run all the way outside and do that. So these guys will be attracted to any like noise, and it's like super sensitive. Wow, that's a lot of dudes. Holy shit. Okay. Well, one good thing is they're chasing us, which is good. But we have to get back inside, and hopefully there's no one in there. These guys are super fast too. There's still guys inside here! Where did all of them come from? How many guys are in here? As you can tell, we don't have an actual way of dealing with the Untouchables. Sure, I can parry and blast each enemy one by one, but because their threat range is so high, it makes the strategy completely worthless and more of a time sink than it actually has to be. Even if I was able to drag one Untouchable to me, he often alerts his friends and they come to have a suck sesh. So I made sure to have a checklist of things that I needed. Black Knife, which has an Ash of War that can kill these things without parrying, Assassin's Gambit for reliable stealth, and more focused defenses to combat the madness buildup. Unfortunately, we need to get to Liurnia and Altus for this to happen, so what the fuck do we do? I guess I'll die. After the first day, I was very deflated. I couldn't see a reasonable way on how to beat something like this, so that night, I did some digging. And what I found was this small YouTuber named Ashes of Prison is what I believe it translates to. They showed that you can actually use Night Maiden's Mist to outright kill these guys. Shout out to this dude. I don't think I could finish this without this tip, so thank you. But what do we need? Well, we have to go to Caelid to finish Gowry's quest, which entails killing Commander O'Neill for the unalloyed gold needle, and then roleplay as the messenger pigeon between him and Millicent. Seems easy enough. Let's see like the interaction of like a summon and see if it does anything, right? Pollyanna, adopted daughter. I've never seen this. Like, what does a summon do in a boss fight against an Untouchable where you can't attack them, right? They just get grabbed. There's another one. Well, I missed that. I'm gonna die instantly, I think. Okay, so the extra dude doesn't do anything. Needle acquired. We just had to get to Millicent, which proved to be a much more daunting task than I had intended. A graveyard full of Aging Untouchables stood in my path. Well, let's give it a shot. I know I can't freely pass on the right, middle, left, or high ground on the left side, as I'll achieve unneeded fellatio. I can't use the bow because it makes a sound for my squiddy character, meaning they'll see me, so I need something that doesn't project sound for myself while also creating sound where the item hits. All of the pathways were pretty much inaccessible, but there was one. So, I would think that this area would be impossible, right? Not because of these guys over here, but because these guys right here, they're over by the gravestones. And the only way, since they're looking that way, is we need to go in between these gravestones slowly as to not gather attention. And then I found there's a chance that I might die here. Basically, I had to hug this bitch-ass wall. I don't remember where I threw the pot before. And then get to this spot here. Okay. Now, if I do this right, they should look the other way and I should be fine. There's a chance that I fuck it, though. There you go. Now we're pretty much home free besides this guy at the back, but like, yeah. That's pretty much how you do it. It's pretty sick. It just depends. Like, sometimes they'll like tweak out, other times they won't. Like, I don't know. I don't know, but it works. It works. So from here, we talk to Millicent, finish Gowry's quest, and obtain Night Maiden's Mist. Not only that, but Mog and mug this man for his glintstone staff to actually use the spell. But of course, after doing death runs and figuring out distractions with throwable items, I found that you can use Fire Sling to distract, and not just distract to turn their pimple-ass heads, they fully run to the location. Both of these spells are the carries of the run, and you'll soon see why. We jump over the Stormveil, not even try the main entrance, and conquer this side path. Well, that works. Wow. That's immediate progress. I've never been able to kill those guys. Man, you have to do like a deathless fucking run of this, man. It's basically that. And the problem is there's two dudes immediately right here. He's gonna port to me, I think, immediately. There's one. I mean, this is kind of just testing at this moment. That'll hit. If this is what we have to do, so be it, man. I mean, they're just both looking. And there's also the one below. That's not gonna hit. And he immediately saw me. Oh, he actually ported. There was two guys there. Guy below didn't get aggroed. We need the rust key. I mean, he's just immediately gonna see me, no? It doesn't reach, right? That's the strategy. That's a strategy. Okay. Pause. Now you're probably wondering why the Untouchable didn't teleport to me. I found that if you're able to wedge yourself in a space that doesn't have enough surface area for the Untouchable to fit in, then they won't fulfill that teleport action. It works like 50% of the time, but later finding out that the Untouchables are coded to teleport behind where the character is facing. They're a true demon of backshot, so if you position your character with your back against a wall or corner, you'll have a more successful rate of them not breathing down your neck. If you're in an open area, the only solution is jumping or being in the air at the exact time that they would use their move action. Pretty unreliable though. Now the rest of this area was fairly simple. Death run my way to snag the rusty key, Night Maiden's Mist past any remaining enemies, and make my way to the first Castle Grace. Alright. Hey. Insane progress. But this wasn't even the tip of the iceberg, because an army stood in my path. But first, Fort Haight, which involved the implementation of Fire Sling to attract an infested castle of baddies, which if you didn't know, there's 18 enemies guarding this fortress. So with precise throws, the enemies would cluster, allowing me to counterattack them with our life-draining mist, while some having to be parried and pummeled for not following protocol. Eventually, I had to do a final run past one Untouchable to be home free. Climb the ladder and well, I think my reaction says it all after 9 hours of play. Oh, sweet freedom. Now that, oh my god, that took so long. Having a booming amount of confidence, I was ready to tackle the Stormveil Courtyard problem. This was a grueling task to overcome, but here's the breakdown. We start at the Rampart Grace, jump over to this rooftop here without the enemies below teleporting onto me, wait for these two pathing Untouchables to get out of earshot for me to drop down to the railing and pathway, and sneak my way to the ladder to reach this other rooftop. The Untouchables below will eventually de-aggro, giving us time to throw mist on them and dissolve their juice-filled ass. This is for a good measure, as now we have to hold sprint as we jump onto this protruding stone, jump to the ledge across the way, and drop down onto the shack below. We throw a Fire Sling to attract the attention of this Untouchable across the courtyard and mist him to death. But this is weird because no other Untouchable aggros. In fact, this entire area doesn't react to me jumping up and down, making noises, or even using Fire Sling or any item to gain reaction on this roof. Which means my only hope is casting Night Maiden's Mist onto each enemy. So we clear out as many as we can since the casting range is extremely low. Now we have to wait for the patrolling Untouchables to be far enough away for us to drop down, and oh my god, we forgot about the Untouchable in the shack below. Usually we deal with this man by throwing mist onto the shack, having it bleed through, thus killing him. But I'm gonna be honest, I forgot. We do end up infiltrating that shack and murdering that man, then use the same plan that we used at Fort Haight. Toss the mist at the foot of the stairs, blast Fire Sling in that position, and wait for them to cluster and perish, which worked very well. But how did they die up here? Well, it seems like they leave a residual hitbox from the position that they teleport from, so multiple times during this run, they will teleport to me, but still die a second after because of the constant damage from the mist. It's super weird, I don't understand it, but the courtyard was basically cleared out, but I wanted to make sure these extra enemies weren't going to spot me when making my final run. So we try the same strategy as before, and well, something goes awry. But somehow, some way, they de-aggro, giving me enough time to sneak by, and of course, one last enemy. We just run it. Oh my god. Oh, God. Nice. Oh, another. Eat this. Oh, yeah. I ain't dying. Hey, we ain't dying. I know. Cock and ball torture for the last 2 hours. So we cruise to Godrick to face another abomination. Eat my dick. Make it to Liurnia, get set up by the merchant with the pristine astrologer set, and actually have a really nice time in the lakes. And the reason for this is because the enemies are so much more spread out. I'm not saying it's the most pleasant, this place is terrifying. But I easily grab the academy key, gain access to Raya Lucaria, and realize there are roughly 60 enemies in this academy that I would have to traverse by. Probably being much harder than Stormveil since the enemies have higher HP values, and if I do manage to get past this swarmed area, there's a chance that every student in Ronaldo's library will be an untouchable, and I'm not trying to find out. So instead, red main skip, blast Radahn's demons, and now we're elated with 2 great runes and 1 Dectus medallion. Fort Faroth was our last problem, but I was running out of options. I tried our Fort Haight method, hitless strats, even wedging myself into this random corner while the mist whittles them down. But since these enemies are extremely strong, it's not an option, and I didn't know what to do until a few people in chat said, "What about summons?" Can ashes take aggro? It does show you can use ashes here. I mean, this might be a play, actually. Our guys died immediately. But don't teleport. Oh my god. Good fucking idea, boys. Holy. Oh, we gave them the bait. Who would have thought summons were so handy? It's like they put them in the game to make it easier. This is a monumental moment because this means we have access to Altus and can grab the precious, glorious, destined death-burning black knife dagger to rid the lands between of every single, and it's actually piss. Obviously this dagger is pretty decent and fully upgraded slaps, but the fact I have to use its Ash of War twice to take out one of Godrick's soldiers, it wasn't looking good. And Night Maiden's Mist only does a flat amount of damage of 1500, so going into the later areas, it doesn't make sense to use it because as soon as these things get attacked, they decide to teleport onto you. So the actual best item that we pick up for the run is Assassin's Gambit, which makes cruising through the world extremely simple. The Untouchables have a much shorter alert range, and as long as we're not running right in front of their gaze, we're home free. With this newly established ability and passing through the most congested part of the run, we were smooth sailing to DTS. Bop him like he's Mike Tyson from Punch-Out, and now have Leyndell to cover. Well, not so fast. Remember these filthy bubble blowers? Yeah, they're pus people too. And they must have smelled my calamari ass because they couldn't get enough of me. So what do? Learn this janky knockoff speedrun skip and scale down the wall. I originally tried the speedrun strat of jumping off the top and punching at the wall. After 30 minutes of wasting my life, this was the next best thing. From here, we continue to channel our training from the Metal Gear series. They call me Snake because I'm solid. Eventually finding myself at an impasse, because who knew these things grew on trees? But just like it's worked many times before, Fire Sling comes to the rescue. Blast the side of this tree and wait for the frenzies to jump. Now make our way up the tree and encounter Pissfree's evil twin. Like I said, the boss fights are the easiest parts of this run, and had time to think about what's to come, so as I parry Morgoth's evil twin, my mind is set on how easy Mountaintops will be, and possibly how shit Farum Azula will turn out. And by the gods, I was right. Mountaintops was just 30 minutes of running to Fire Giant. Luckily for me, more parrying training, as it was a 2-phase sesh, so double riposted for good measure, set the Erdtree ablaze, and continued our conquest of Farum Azula, which actually wasn't as bad as I thought. A few deaths accumulated, sure, but there was never a point where I felt hindered and was finally feeling very comfortable with where to position myself along with our Fire Sling spell. Now face to face with Godskin Duo, which was actually just a single man. And like many others do at this boss, you use sleep. I try it out, and it's very clear these monstrosities don't succumb to the effect. These actually aren't affected by almost anything. And since I said this is your one-stop shop for Aging Untouchables, I decided to test every single item, spell, incantation, and specialized Ash of War on these enemies, and this is what I found. Any item, spell, incantation, and weapon that deals stance damage are able to stance break these enemies, even though they give off this ripple effect like you didn't hit them. And you can actually engage in the crit action on these characters after doing so, but it doesn't do any damage. I tried every possible item to see if there was a weird event that would happen to the Untouchables, but I didn't find any luck in doing so. Special interactions I found came from spells like Lucidity, which obviously cures the madness buildup, Ranni's Dark Moon, which applies the magic damage debuff on the enemy, Miriam's Vanishing allows you to not be grabbed, the same goes for the Ash of War Raptors of the Mist, things like Assassin's Gambit, Assassin's Approach, Unseen Form, Crepus's Vial, and Lamenting Visage Ash of War that makes you harder to detect obviously work on these creatures. If you use a Shadow Bait spell, the Untouchable will de-aggro from you and attack the Shadow Image, which is really weird because the spell says it lures aggression of foes of human build. You would assume this means Deathblight possibly affects them. Unfortunately, it does not. The only weapons and spells that damage Aging Untouchables prior to them being parried are Godslayer incantations. So Black Flame Blade, Black Flame Ritual, Scouring Black Flame, and Noble Presence, which means there's not a single sorcery in the game that can damage these enemies besides Night Maiden's Mist. And if we go off this discovery, that means that any weapon that has an Ash of War with Black Flame will also affect the Untouchable, like Godslayer's Greatsword and Godskin Peeler. Godskin Stitcher doesn't have a unique Ash of War and doesn't produce Black Flame, therefore it doesn't damage the enemy. And of course, weapons that have Ashes of War that are infused with Destined Death will also damage these decrepit grandpas, like Black Knife as you saw earlier, Malekith's Blackblade, the Blackblade Incantation, but also a sleeper weapon that I didn't even think about, Gargoyle's Blackblade, which has a unique Ash of War, Corpse Wax Cutter. Now it's not great, but it's better than nothing. But this further proves that the game really wants you to do what was intended, and that's shield bash these frenzied flaying grandpas into oblivion. So as we take down every single last boss that stepped in our path, I think that this was one of the more interesting challenges I've done, as it makes you have to think in a different way. You can't just use an insane build to rush past the game. You have to think methodically with your pathing, what to do next, think outside the box, and limit test the game like your life depends on it. So, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please leave a like and subscribe for more Elden Ring and Night Ring content in the future, and I'll see you in the next one.